April the 3rd, Birdsong. This month sees an ever-increasing amount of birds singing. All our resident birds are now in full voice, as are many of our new arrivals. For most of the month, it is still possible to see the birds involved. Now is the last time to put the bird and the song together before all the new leaves start to obscure the singers. The dawn chorus, as the month progresses, is starting to reach a level which wakes Londoners up. Some birds, such as robins and skylarks, even sing before the dawn. As the nights get shorter, they are being joined by blackbirds, song thrushes and wrens. Most birds utter a large range of their different vocalizations this month. For this reason, it is a good time to identify different call notes, alarm calls, courting calls, crooning notes, contact calls, and the most tender of all, the calls of young fledglings. These last calls are usually soft tinkling notes coming from some hidden place. The award for best songster of the month might equally go to robins, blackbirds, song thrushes, or any newly arrived blackcaps. All these birds are famous by world standards, for their songs can all now be commonly heard in London's gardens. In other habitats, there are other world-famous songs also worth seeking out. For example, the tree pipit, wood warbler, woodlark, curlew, redshank, and cuckoo. Traditionally, it is in the first week of April you should hear your first chiff-chaff. In the second, the willow warbler, the third, the blackcap, and in the fourth, the garden warbler. With more and more birds remaining with us rather than migrating because of our warm winters, this is often now not the case. The order in which they are heard will often remain the same, but the dates will differ. The last two of these songs are notoriously confusing for birdwatchers. The blackcap song is a series of clear warblings with some pure notes. It has a distinct wavy character, including the so-called cuckoo notes. These are particularly clear, pure, fluty notes, often delivered at the end of phrases, and are reminiscent to some extent of a cuckoo. The garden warbler, in contrast, tends to sing for longer and without interruption. It also has no cuckoo notes. Its song has been compared to a babbling brook because of the continuous rapid flow of notes. As always, the situation is confused by lazy and inexperienced birds which don't deliver their full song. Excerpts alone of both songs are notoriously difficult to separate, especially as the garden warbler arrives just as the leaves start to hide him. His is a much rarer sound in London than the blackcaps, and he tends to move around a lot as he delivers it. On the outskirts of London, pheasants can be heard calling from woodland edges, and woodpeckers drumming from within. In any damp woods on the northern tip of London, it may still be worth listening out for the rare calls of marsh tit and willow tit. In gardens, robins, tits, wrens, hedge sparrows, blackbirds and thrushes can all now be heard much more. In large parks, they may be joined by goldfinches, chaffinches and greenfinches. Magpies are also more vocal, the male even making mewing calls to the female as he persistently courts her. These courting assemblies of magpies can involve several birds with many unusual vocalizations. The massive complex vocabulary of great tits, of up to 50 different calls, is often too much to cope with even for the hardened birdwatcher. In more open areas, it is worth listening out for the rarer sounds of linnets and yellowhammers. The wing humming and peewit calls of lapwings are also still being heard. Another special sound continuing from March is the drumming of snipe. This bizarre sound has been compared to a boy blowing through a comb covered in paper. It is produced by its stiff tail feathers, which can be seen extended as the bird makes loops in their display flights. Other birds singing, but not already mentioned, include reed and sedge warbler, tree creeper, tree sparrow, nuthatch, meadow pipit, lesser whitethroat, wheatear, grasshopper warbler, redstart sandpiper, ring plover, swallow, and house martin. One last famous sound of April, which might return after a long absence, is the whistling of otters. Being nocturnal in their habits, these almost human-sounding whistles used to be often heard in the dead of night near quiet stretches of running water. There may still be a possibility along the more remote tributaries of both the River Wey and the River Lee.